Have you ever watched one of those early retirement YouTube videos asking you to save 80% of your income while living on ramen noodles? In this video, I will share with you my personal early retirement plan that you can use to retire in approximately 10 years, all while living in Mexico and without having to live that ultra-frugal, depressing lifestyle. Just a few years ago, I found myself trapped in the soul-sucking routine of a corporate accounting job, working endless hours and feeling unfulfilled. It was draining my spirit, and I knew deep down that there had to be a better way to live. That's when I made a life-changing decision to design a plan that would allow me to break free from the chains of the traditional corporate world and retire early. Let me show you my personal plan, which you can consider for your own retirement journey. Note that when we get to the numbers section of this video, it will contain a lot of predictions, which none of this is financial advice. These are my mere opinions and predictions, so do your own research before making these investments. Let's get started. The average American income, according to Sophie, is $60,000 per year. If you take an effective tax rate of 22%, you are left with roughly $52,800 of after-tax income. On a monthly basis, that comes out to $4,400 per month. Planning for early retirement is simple, but you need to know the big picture. No matter how you slice the numbers, if you are constantly spending 100% of your after-tax income, then you will have nothing for retirement. So with that said, let's first figure out the cost of living for someone that is living in a state like Texas with no property tax. If you want to live close to the city, then rent alone can easily cost you $1,200 per month. If you add in transportation cost, groceries, utilities, and miscellaneous expenses, then your total cost of living to live in a city like Houston, Texas, comes out to about $2,500 per month. Note that this number is quite conservative and is built for someone that is frugal. If you want to go to events and eat out every weekend, then your cost of living can easily surpass $3,500 per month. How do I know this? I used to live in Houston back in 2016, getting paid around $3,600 per month after tax. I remember back in 2016, I was living paycheck to paycheck. I was lucky if I was able to save over $100 in 1 month. With that said, let's calculate our investable income, which is your after-tax salary minus your cost of living expenses. Obviously, if you make the average American income and you choose to live the second lifestyle, living paycheck to paycheck, then you would be left with no investable income per month. Your only option is to choose to live the frugal lifestyle for around $2,500 per month, which you will be able to invest around $1,900 per month. I want to take this idea one step further. Is there a way you can make your average American salary and live on $2,500 per month with a comfortable lifestyle? I figured out after all of those years living in the United States that that is impossible. In 2020, I was fortunate enough to find a remote job and decided to secretly move to Monterrey, Mexico without telling my employer. If you watched my last cost of living video, then you know that I can live a very comfortable lifestyle for $2,500 per month. Monterrey is also one of the most expensive cities in Mexico, so my girlfriend and I are planning to move to a different city in Mexico after we get married by the end of 2023. Now you see, if you have ambitions for early retirement and making the average American salary, then your only way to early retirement is living the frugal life in the United States or finding a remote American job and moving to a beautiful city in Mexico. With that said, let's go ahead and go to my investing plan. There are different levels of investing, from ultra-conservative, saving all your money in cash or United States treasuries, or you can go ultra-aggressive and invest in low market cap companies or cryptocurrencies and expect huge returns on your investments. There is also a middle ground and investing in middle cap to high cap companies in the United States, like Tesla, Google, Microsoft, and Facebook, just to name a few. My investing philosophy leans a little bit towards the ultra-aggressive side, but I would say that I do not have the stomach to invest my life savings into a penny stock or some ultra-low cryptocurrency market cap token and take on all that risks. Before we start crunching the numbers on my retirement plan, let's first go back to our investable income and put it through the different investing scenarios. Just to illustrate an example, our first option would be just holding cash. I know that interest rates are higher than normal these days, but we will assume that your average interest rate holding cash for the span of 10 years is around 2%. If you take your investable income of $1,900 and consistently invested that amount of money for the span of 10 years in cash and generating a 2% yield, you will have a total nest egg of around $200 $350,000 when you are ready to retire, and were to put that in a conservative portfolio yielding roughly 4% per year, you will have a yearly portfolio income of $10,000 per year. Obviously, that method does not work. Now let's look at the most popular option that is used by most portfolio managers, which is investing in mid to large cap companies. The average return for these companies over the past 10 years has been around 10%. We can use that for our example. If you invested $1,900 per month consistently over 10 years in these mid to large cap companies and generate an average yield of 10%, you would have a total retirement nest egg of around $364,000. Using our same example of putting that in a conservative portfolio when you get older and generating a 4% yield, that nest egg will generate around $14,500 of yearly portfolio income. As you can see, this example also does not work if you want to live a comfortable retirement life. So you might be asking yourself, what is the solution if I want to invest my $1,900 of investable income and be able to retire comfortably in 10 years while living in Mexico? My friend, the answer to that is Bitcoin. I know what you're thinking. You might first think it's crazy investing all your investable income into Bitcoin, but let me share with you some perspective. You have very reputable public companies like Tesla that holds a small percentage of Bitcoin in their balance sheet. You also have some aggressive companies like MicroStrategy that chooses to put all of their profits and extra cash into Bitcoin. There are many companies that are publicly traded in the United States that hold a portion of their extra cash into Bitcoin. We even have talks that a Bitcoin ETF might be launching in the future. If you do some research, when the gold ETF was released, gold went on to go into a decade-long bull run. I see the same thing happening for Bitcoin, especially once the ETF is approved. Let's pull out the handy-dandy Excel spreadsheet. If you do some research on Bitcoin, you may have heard of something called a Bitcoin halving, where the supply of Bitcoins being produced to the market is cut in half every 4 years. If you paid attention in economics class, you would know that if you decrease the supply of something, and assuming the demand stays the same, then the price will naturally go up. That is what explains why Bitcoin would always go on parabolic trends every 4 years. My analysis is based on that. Looking at column B of the Excel spreadsheet, you can see the next Bitcoin halving are as follows: 2024, 2028, and 2032. Based on the more than 10-year history, we know the best years to invest are roughly a year before the halving and during the halving itself. The worst times to invest in Bitcoin is around 2 years after the halving. My estimates are based on that, and I would say quite conservative. You have analysts out there predicting a $1 million Bitcoin by 2030, but if you look at my price prediction for the year 2033, I am only conservatively predicting a $500,000 Bitcoin. Again, this is only my opinion, and maybe Bitcoin never reaches these numbers, but I am willing to bet my own investable income on this. If you look at column D, you will notice a pattern in price. During the halving years, Bitcoin tends to retest its previous all-time high. For example, our last all-time high for Bitcoin was around $70,000, so I expect Bitcoin to reach $70,000 by 2024. The year after the halving is when Bitcoin goes parabolic. I am predicting that by the year 2025, Bitcoin will be worth around $200,000. Now let's actually dive in deeper into my investing plan using our example from above of $1,900 of investable income. We will start with 2 investing rules. Number 1, our investment philosophy will be based on the Bitcoin 4-year cycles. Number 2, we will always keep 20% of our portfolio in Bitcoin and sell only the remaining 80% during the sell years. So with $1,900 per month of investable income, that is about $22,800 that we are able to invest in Bitcoin. 2023 is almost over, and I expect the average price this year to hover around $30,000. Assuming that average price and 4 months of investing, you will come up with a total of 0.25 Bitcoin by the end of 2023. In 2024, Bitcoin will reach its prior all-time high of around $70,000. So with that average price, you will have 0.58 Bitcoin at the end of 2024. 2025 is the all-time high year, and I expect Bitcoin to reach around $200,000. Assuming we just keep buying Bitcoin and not sell until the following year, we will have a total Bitcoin holding of 0.69 by the end of 2025. Now, the beginning of 2026 is a sell year. Remember, we will never sell more than 80% of our holdings. So at the beginning of 2026, we can sell 80% of our holding of around 0.55 Bitcoin, around $200,000, and can come up with $110,887. After we pay our taxes to Uncle Sam, we are left with $98,742. We can keep this in a savings account for the rest of 2026 and generate some interest if we are lucky during 2026. So now, fast forward to 2027, I expect Bitcoin will retrace back down to its previous all-time high it set in 2021, so around $70,000. This will probably happen by the end of the year, assuming we use our profits from the last cycle and are able to buy Bitcoin for around that price, along with continuing our monthly purchases for the year. We will come up with 1.87 Bitcoins by the end of 2027. So you see, that is where the magic happens, and what separates those that win in cryptocurrencies and those that lose is that selling is a very important component of your journey. Now, I am not going to bore you with the numbers of the next few cycles, but just to highlight a few things, I expect Bitcoin to be around $400,000 by 2030 and $600,000 by 2034. So 2034 is the expected year for when I plan to retire. By the end of that year, I will have a total of 4.18 Bitcoins. Assuming we keep our same investment philosophy, we will only sell 80% of that. After tax, that comes out to around $1.5 million. So now that we are retired, it is probably time to be a little bit more conservative with our investments and invest in conservative assets like real estate, large cap stocks, etc. If we take our $1.5 million portfolio using a conservative 4% dividend or interest income, we will earn roughly $5,000 per month of portfolio income. Assuming Bitcoin also levels off at $600,000 during this decade, you will have a total portfolio value of over $2 million. Not bad for early retirement. In conclusion, the main key to this is having as much investable income as possible. Obviously, if you choose to live on ramen noodles for 10 years in the United States, then you can probably achieve this a bit faster. But why have to go through that if you can just persist and find your way to a remote United States company making an American salary and living in Mexico? You don't even have to tell your employer like I did. Again, do that with your own risk. That way, you can choose to follow this same plan and live a nice, comfortable life over the next 10 years and still have the luxury of retiring early. With that said, I hope you liked my analysis. Remember that these are my opinions and not financial advice. Definitely write in the comments section what you think about this idea. Let me know if you want me to make videos showing my real live portfolio that I plan on starting so we can truly experience this early retirement journey together. Before we wrap up, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button below and click on the notification bell to stay updated with all our content related to achieving financial independence by living in Mexico. Thank you for joining me on this journey, and remember, whether you're exploring Mexico or any other corner of the world, immerse yourself in the culture of the country.